Hello everyone. So in the last video we talked about the dynamic rag. So what is dynamic rag is basic. So rag stands for retrieval augmented generation, and what is dynamic? As you can see on my screen, it's basically retrieve the data dynamically from a API. And so in that case I was using Google RSS feed to getting the data from for some particular categories like Messi, World Cup goals, NASA, space science. So all these things which worked great. We got the data, we fetch it, and we embed into the ChromaDB, and it worked fine. But there is a problem. Not a problem, but there is a catch. Like, let's suppose if we are asking a question like what is gravity, what is photosynthesis, or the basic questions which we don't require the dynamic API retrieval. In that case, the call should not go to the dynamic API or a ChromaDB. The model should have that information already built in. So how we can do that? So trying to solve this problem in the same lines, I try to use a classifier or something like that can decide before answering whether to we have to use the model's knowledge for this, or we call it a static knowledge base, or we have to retrieve the live data for this. And to try this, I have created is I can show you. I created a file called classifier underscore test JSON, where I have created the questions and the ground level truths. Like, okay, if it is a question like what is gravity, it's a static. Like, we don't need any API call or like any static rag. Also, the model should have these information inbuilt, right? How the fish breathe underwater, photosynthesis is sky blue, and all those questions like tell me about the fun animal fact games. That is something like we can inject into the knowledge base to the ChromaDB. And if we have something like a live data, like that is something like regarding what we are going, like a FIFA World Cup going on. So if we have to talk about that, that means we need the dynamic API, dynamic data, or the live data. In that case, we can make the API call, retrieve the data. So I try to run this using the base model. And in when I say base model, I am evaluate I'm using model llama 3.21 billion, and calling this file. I'm passing this file to test and putting these three categories like a static, like a general knowledge that does not change over time, knowledge base, specific storage, okay, live data, that is something we require to make the API call. So I'm using that model to see how that works with the, if we are trying to use the base model or like a llama 1 billion to treat that as a classifier which can route our queries accordingly. So when I run that so what we can see, we see like, okay, what is gravity? The ground truth we set as a static. We are also got the model also said it's a static information, we don't need, so it works fine. Why is the sky blue? All these things you can see. But why the sky is blue? We are expecting this is a static information, but what the we got the information, it's a knowledge base. Again, if you notice here, its spelling is wrong. DEG is coming twice, so that is something is made up by the model itself. That is something we'll talk later. And how, so there are a lot of questions which we predict, we set the ground truth as a static, but we got the different answers. Same as this one is static, we got the knowledge base. So far, okay, what who is the current president? We expect the live data, but we got it should be the knowledge base. Why the earth is still spinning? It's a While the earth is the earth is still spinning, we said this is a static information, but it said like it is live data. So if you see here, the final accuracy we got like 66% is correct answers we got, and got like 17 answers. So that is something like it's not, we cannot treat that as a classifier. Region being out of 10 questions, if out of 10 questions, if out of 10 6 times is only it's correct and 4 times is wrong, that's not the right experience for anyone. So what the next thing is I did is I set the examples just to I'll show you here. Classifier, cat evaluate classifier, okay. So here the next I tried is I tried to pass the few shots, like how do volcano work, it treated as a static. How, what is community knowledge base, who is the current person, that's live data. So I'm trying to give the kind of biased information, providing into as a few shots to the model so that it can give the correct answers. So let's see how that works for the same file. So now this is the few shots, that with the few shots example. So now it is coming fine. Now what is the water cycle, that's a static data, but we got the live data, live static rected knowledge base. It's supposed to be in the knowledge base, but we got this to be the live data. So here we have completed 3, and if it okay, let it complete. Okay, so we are expecting, with after providing the few shots, so earlier we got like a 66% correct answers. So with few shots we are expecting it should be better. Excuse me. But it's even lower the percentage to 52%. And there's another problem. So with a few shots it reduced from 66 to 52%. And why it happened? It happened because the small models like llama 1 billion, they, with the long prompts and the few shots, it actually overwhelmed them. So rather than guide them, they misguide them, and they give it confuse them. So basically, if it is a small model, providing the few shots will not help them, it will misguide them. The another thing, if you see here, we are, like as I mentioned earlier, I was getting the wrong category, like DGE was coming twice. That means the generative models creating the new kind of a category, which is like economy or the games or the knowledge kind of a category. So that is what the problem, we cannot make. So we reach to that conclusion that I cannot use llama 1 billion as model as a classifier. So how to solve this problem? So this is exactly the industry, all the industries actually face this problem. So how they solve this problem? They are using encoder models like Roberta or Distilberta. These have the fixed output layer with exactly 3 neurons, like and because this is fixed, so they cannot create the fourth category. It's like whether it's live data, static, and the knowledge base, they are not going to create economics or game or DGE. They cannot add the new, so they are strict to the 3 categories. Now it's not like it's not like a typical GGUF and OLAMA. It will create a different format, and it does not work with the OLAMA. And we use Python transformers to run this, and that is something I will show you in the next video. Till then, thank you.